We've had Sean Keeler on the show before, hell of a columnist from the Denver Post. And he's written a column about Dion, Colorado, the transfer portal, Cormani McLean, and Alton McCaskill, etc. And then there was on his Twitter feed some funny stuff because people said the lead of the day, as in the lead part of his story of the day, for a cat with a private jet, Dion sure seems to lose a lot of his luggage. Sean joins us, Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina. Paul's out today. Craig Smoak, David Smoak on 365 Sports. What has been the reaction to your column today, sir?
Oh, I've been banned from Boulder, but that's nothing new. No, I think it depends on which colors are in your closet, so to speak. Look, there are some uncomfortable truths, and we haven't talked about this at length on air. It was always going to be kind of a good, but mixed bag when you hire Deion Sanders. You got to take to this and you got to take to that. And the uncomfortable truths about Coach Prime are what make people uncomfortable, but that doesn't make them any less true, and it doesn't make them any less problematic. Now, it also doesn't mean it's a terrible hire. It just means that you're going to get the downside with the blood contract you signed too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sean, you point out all the numbers of the incoming and now the outgoing, and some of that is overlapping in the double digits now as well. I mean, Alton McCaskill was a guy that was a big get at the time, knew he had the injury, but now we've heard from him, his father at least, and he's back in the portal. Just kind of how are people digesting the turnover, and when is it going to get to a point where the door doesn't seem to always be open and you kind of settle into having a team that you can build up?
Oh, I don't think the door ever shuts. I mean, this is not a door on two hinges. It's a revolving door to Macy's. I mean, it just comes and goes. You know what I mean? I mean, it just never ends. The line, and this is the line from Dion yesterday when I asked him about it, and he was professional about it. I give him lots of credit for that. Deion Sanders has been nothing but professional to me. Now, that may change.
Yeah.
And if they're 1-3, which I don't think they'll be, that would certainly change. But I want to say that up front, and that I certainly appreciate that as a professional to another, and not, while not always gracious, at least always courteous to a point. So that's fine. But I think their line is, well, this goes on everywhere. And this was the thing I wanted to dig into in the column you guys are referencing from yesterday. And I thought, well, is it? I mean, yeah, there's Houston. There's 11. There's hang on, I'm going to run through the notes of it. There's and this is at the yesterday afternoon. Okay, Iowa State. There's it's Ames. There's 2. Okie State. There's 1. KU. There's 1. Manhattan. Nothing's going on there. Well, that's none. Baylor, none. You see where we're going with this. Let's just add up the 16 Big 12 schools for this fall. Let's see what the count is as of yesterday. And I believe CU had 15. It's up to 16 now. They had 15, and the rest of the league had 44 among the other 15 schools. So it's about 3. And if you take out Houston, it's about 2. So yeah, when you've got 16 of them, you've got something different going on there. You're not. It's not just everybody. No, it's largely you, because this is how you do it. This is the only way to cycle things out. And I just don't think this is really the most uncomfortable truth, besides whatever future NCAA violations are coming, and they are coming, is that it's not sustainable. Is it? You tell me. Is any of this sustainable from an outsider's perspective at Colorado? You have the revolving door all the time.
We mentioned this too, because Texas State, just south of here, who upset Baylor to start the year last year, they have a new coach, G.J. Kinney, came in, and they had like 50-plus players or 60 players. But you wonder eventually, because if you are bringing them in to replace players who are not as good, but then they're also the same ones leaving, or a chunk of them are you making the wrong personnel decisions? Is that kind of also what you're saying?
Yeah, and also the argument, for every argument they make in their defense, there's a counter. And that is, they say, well, these were bench guys. Oh, McCaskill wasn't going to play. Cormani McLean wasn't going to play. Well, no, yes, he was. That's a bold-faced lie for one. Now, McLean did not have a good freshman. McLean had freshman issue problems, to put it kindly.
Yep.
And that was not an uncommon story. The freshmen that don't handle the transition well don't often stay even before the portal. It's the case where kids just sometimes don't make it work the first time they're at. But what you have done with all this turnover, and you saw it last year, when was it 70 out, 70 in, something crazy like that, is the depth. Guys get hurt, don't they? Yeah. They do. Last we checked, it's a pretty physical game. The Pac-12 was extremely physical. The Big 12 is going to be even more so, never mind the travel. You need bodies. You need it too deep. And Deion Sanders' fundamental roster building problem with his method is just the way he looks at life, just the way he looks at his children, just the way he looks at everything. And bless him for it. It's gotten him this far. I tip my cap. Only one of us in the room is rich and handsome, and it's not me. He sees everything in the world from the top down. Everything. And everything in the world is from a glass half full perspective. I think the Buffs are more than half. I don't think they're quite full yet, but he never sees the bottom of the depth chart in life or his football program. And it bit them last year. And if they don't shore that up if they think they're going to run out these 16 to 20, and it'll be 20 by the time the spring ball is done and the portal closes. If you're going to take out 20 and add 20, unless that 20 is significantly better than the 20 you have, you're going to have the same problem, because even if they are comparable, you've just lost 4 months of prep and development time, haven't you? You can't just run them in there and say, you got a summer to figure this out. But that's what they do, and they're going to ride or die with that.
How has it been taken, Shedeur and Shiloh basically being the personnel guys in some way, the way that Instagram message came across the other day? How's that been digested? It's good X fodder. I think it's a non-story because that's been going on forever. I mean, we just have platforms. These guys are celebrities themselves, and they're justifiably good players. Shedeur, very good. Shiloh, also good. They're the stars of this thing. And frankly, here's the other, it's not even an uncomfortable truth, it's just reality. Those two guys are running this program. If you want to, there's your headline, boys. Yeah.
If you want to stick it with the Buffs, if Shedeur doesn't like you and Shiloh doesn't like you, you're gone. And we've seen who's gone, both personnel and coaches, haven't we?
Yeah.
You can kind of do the math from there, and that's not a great secret, and that's not, Keeler blowing the whistle on something. Those are the guys who are calling the shots. But I think where that comes to be, I can't believe players are going Instagram to recruit guys. No, I think they've always done that. I agree with Dion 65, 70% of the time. He's right on the money. It's the other 30 where I'm just like, whoa, come on, man. Come on. Let's back from Mars here. Let's get to reality. But in that case, players recruit players. Players are your best recruiters. Players to peers are your best salesmen, and that's always been the case. These just happen to be really high profile, very confident, and very talented salesmen in that regard. And because they're public guys, and because it's all me all the time, that tends to get more run. I don't think the players recruiting players is much of a story as we're losing 20 guys in 2 weeks. That's much more of a story to me.
So, and they'll probably add 15 or 20 here in the next couple of weeks.
Right?
They'll
fill them up. Yep.
So when you mentioned if they don't like you, is that what happened to Sean Lewis? Because the offense was not the offensive line was a struggle, and a lot of them have transferred. But was the Sean Lewis decision?
They've all transferred.
Yeah.
They're all gone.
Yeah. Yeah, and for those picking them up, they're like, wait a minute, we heard about how bad their offensive line was, but was the Sean Lewis demotion, was that Shedeur?
It was in part. There were a lot of factors, and not all of which I can get into comfortably over the air, so to speak, and on the record, so to speak. But you can do the math, and you can do the math on both sides of the ball. And they'll deny it. They'll deny it angrily. But here's the other thing about the Sanders family. It's going to sound like a very famous political family. We're not going to get into that, but I'll just tell you probably know where you could go with this. The stronger they deny something, The more they accuse you of something, the more likely they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wise words there. Wise words. I mean, you've kind of already intimated it with the guys who have been out, but to see Alton McCaskill in the portal, Sean, after really not a whole lot of anything. I mean, he had the injury that he was coming back from, but then obviously his father's now become outspoken. I don't know. I guess you've kind of already answered that, like I said, but is it Dylan Edwards and kind of what does that room look like now at this point for them moving forward?
Well, they had like 7 guys. I mean, it was crazy deep at this time last year, and it's still pretty deep. They've got the bodies, they've got the skill guys to kind of make that work. But the question is how, the trouble with that is you've only got, we thought about this during preseason camp last year. We're like, who is going to get all these carries? Because Shedeur's the kid, and he's a very good QB and an NFL QB. Don't get me wrong. We're like, they're going to throw the ball 50 times, and yeah, they're going to run 80 plays with Sean Lewis's offense. But this is the Shedeur show. This is not the Dion Smoak tour. This is not the Alton McCaskill show. And it was the Dylan Edwards show in Dallas, or Fort Worth rather, for that TCU game. But then it stopped being that pretty quick. I think the question is just having enough carries. It's not having enough talent. Dylan Edwards could play anywhere and play right away from day one. I think it's just a matter of how they want to orient the offense, because it's not about him.
Yeah.
We know who it's about. So you have to be able to block. You have to be able to catch for Shedeur, and you got to be able to block for Shedeur. And that would be true of anybody who's a front line, top 10 pick kind of QB in there. So that's their priority, and I think the tailbacks come in here have to realize that too. And McCaskill had playing time frustrations. There was some stuff, but again, the stories were very, as I said in the column, it was very nebulous, as all things are, because, I mean, let's be honest, the Sanders ship, it's kind of a closed circle. You're like, yeah, but they've got 4 YouTube feeds. Yes, but that's your only source, is you get it from the state media.
I was going to say state TV, yeah.
Yeah,
sounds like
you're not allowed in the circle of trust. And people in this market, Denver media has had to, some media and some fan media has paid for access to that inner circle, and obviously most of the outlets will not, and we certainly won't. And so we're outside the circle a little bit.
So tell me the truth, Sean, because it got to play. The opening lead line, as we mentioned, for a cat with a private jet, Deion Sanders sure seems to lose a lot of luggage. When did you come up with that? How did that come about, and how long before you went, damn, that's pretty good? The good Lord occasionally throws an acorn to a blind squirrel. That literally is one of those where you're just laughing. I don't want Dion to go. He's great for business. Hey, he's been great for business for CU. He's been great for business for us. But he's so quick on stuff, and his catchphrases are so fun that you kind of right there. I just thought, I was playing around with kind of a lost luggage idea, and I laughed because I went back to the Louis Vuitton thing. That's a play on. I'm bringing my luggage, and it's Louis. Mm-hmm. God dang, dude, you've already thrown out 6 pieces. I mean, it was just the image of him like, here's my Louis luggage, and he just went, yeah, nah. Yeah, and in a way, literally, that's probably what Dion does with luggage. He's just, that's his world. Again, it's like a Spirit
when we're in
Airlines
that room,
flight.
man. And he doesn't fly coach. So I laugh. Here's the guy with a private plane who keeps losing his Louis luggage. It's kind of a thing. So we were having some fun with that. But again, to his credit, he's got the bank account and smile, and I got a bald head and nothing. So God bless him.
So I know the spring game's a week away. Obviously, the headlines right now is all this attrition and just like who's going to fill these roles and how's this going to work. You do though have Shiloh and Shedeur back, Travis Hunter back. I mean, what's kind of the football talk outside of the roster itself as they've maneuvered through spring drills and now? Sean, get ready to go join a brand new conference. Old, but
we're home again.
Yeah,
aren't we, guys?
I mean they're back. They plant that luggage right on that Louis luggage right on the front porch where they used to live. But yeah, what's kind of the feel and the sense about just the team in general as it makes this transition?
I think there's still, if the hype last year was 11 out of 10 from fan excitement, it's still a 9.8. Here's the fact that has not been written about. I don't think I've seen it written about a lot because the attrition is kind of taken all the headlines, and that is spring game's not sold out yet. or it wasn't sold out as of yesterday. That surprised me. I think it'll get there, but 9.4. Like we're still in the A range. We're still really high into it, but the last 2 months kind of stuck with people. Okay, you can talk a good game even in Denver for only so long before the city goes, all right, where is it? Where is it? And when they had it, especially beating, drubbing Nebraska, I think people were just really rolling with that. And then it just kind of, to the average kind of bandwagon fan, it kind of fell away here hard. But they're still pretty strong. They'll get there. If they don't sell out, they'll be awfully close. They'll say it's a sellout. I was shocked they didn't admit that it or said that it wasn't. Given everything's fine, everything's great, kind of Chip Diller way that Prime kind of approaches everything. But I think they'll get there. That's obviously going to be kind of like a talent show Thursday. I mean, they're doing here, right? It's like a festival. It's like Coachella I'm thinking out loud. It's Fuchella. It's Coachella. I'm literally writing this on the notebook now so I don't forget it because I'm old. It's Coachella. I should get that copyrighted before Dion takes that and runs them. Because he has all his phrases copyrighted, by the way. He'll probably get me on that. But they're doing a festival with a talent show on a Thursday. The typical fundraising dinners on a Friday. They'll have the game on Saturday morning. And I think it's on Pac-12 Network, which means none of you will be able to see it.
Yeah.
And that cracked me up because I'm like, so will that be the last thing the Pac-12 Network shows?
It might save the conference. It might be so good that it saves the conference, right?
It'll get the 15,000 people out there who can still get it have to go find it, and the rest of the world has to chase. Everyone in Texas is chasing this thing down. Like, is this still a thing? Yeah, it's still a thing till like June 30th, as far as we know. So it's going to be on Pac-12 Network, and then the coup de grace. There will be the Lil Wayne show at CU Event Center on Saturday night, right after the game. So I imagine he'll be a part of the game as well. There will probably be some other stuff. I know Snoop Dogg's company is bringing their vodka because their PR folks keep sending me the emails, and I'm like, oh, I am gonna miss this when it ends. I'm like, I don't. They're not bringing Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg for Carl Durrell. I'm sorry. They're not.
You I know you got other things to write. One more thing on Dion. Have you been? I love listening to him. Whether or not,
oh yeah,
I mean, absolutely. I listened to everything he said this week. Have you been pleasantly surprised about how, though, he has his thumb on those players when it comes to doing things right, in doing whatever a team needs to do, and punishing the team whenever they don't? I mean, has that been kind of a breath of fresh air?
I will say this: there is a standard. And there is a strong standard. Let me give you an example real quick. On the board, and I didn't get into this in the column, but we are going to circle back to this. There was written on the board in the meeting room, I presume left over from a meeting where we had the press conference yesterday, of basically the eternal verities where it said, be early to be on time. No hoodies, I'm paraphrasing, no chains, no this. It's about us and the ball, protect the ball, call your mama. But these are things written on the board. We walk in there. I think these are genuine, absolute principles. And again, in their defense, there haven't been a lot of, for whatever reason, and people have looked into this, there haven't been a lot of, for lack of a better word, intercampus incidents as of yet. There have been apples that have been bad have been weeded out, and they've been weeded out pretty quickly. And that hasn't been as an uncomfortable thing as people wondered if it might be in Boulder. So that's to their credit. Now, again, the night is long, and we'll see. So I think some of the discipline is espoused and is genuine from the part of the coaching staff, and certainly from the part of Dion. I think that part of his FSU background is legit. I think that's passed over and down, and I think that discipline is important. They didn't always they were one of the most penalized teams in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
They didn't turn. Shedeur didn't turn it over, but the sacks and the occasional fumbles were a story into themselves. They weren't crazy disciplined, in spite of having so much better talent than the year before. I don't think all that translates. And then the downside of that, again, that for everything great about having Dion here, there's always another side to it, and that is, and this isn't untrue at a lot of other places, but it was really noticeable where the strike zone was for the chosen ones, as they're kind of known in Dion's leadership council, versus everyone else. And I think the everyone else on the Buffs roster got a little tired of it, and I think that's fairly well documented with those who are no longer here. And that's not unusual at programs everywhere, but man, there are several strike zones within the CU Buffs program, and I think the kids that need to follow it generally have followed it pretty well. Those who can't aren't here, either because they got frustrated by those who didn't have to follow the strike zone, or because they simply couldn't follow it, and that speaks to some of the attrition too.
It's a great column, well written. Sean, great stuff. Appreciate your time today. Good luck with all the other columns you're about to write.
Yeah.
It's Sean Keeler, the Denver Post. Thank you, sir, for your time. That's a great